and good evening. Welcome along to Business Today. I'm Jerome Paul Sunko with Winnie Weens and Akochi on Sign Language. First, let's have a look at our top stories.
Business Today, Uganda Securities Exchange, UN Women and other stakeholders demonstrate support for investment in capital markets. Women-led enterprises called upon. Local aviation operators displeased with licensing recommendations as poor airfields and costly service fees strain operations. Uganda still grapples with climate change. Impact cost of inaction estimated between $3.2 to $5.2 as resilience projects expected to offset setback.
And now we kick it off with stock market openings. Uganda Securities Exchange and the UN Women and other establishments in tech have demonstrated support for investment among women-owned companies and enterprises in the private sector for a slot on the country's stock market as a way to deepen growth and the investment portfolio. Rona Nahabwe reports.
With majority of the listed companies on Uganda's principal stock market, multinational and large enterprises, enrollment hasn't come in handy for the small and medium size as it is with women-owned enterprises. The current initiative undertaken by the Uganda Securities Exchange and respective stakeholders is to attract women investment in the market, utilizing stocks, bonds, mutual funds and exchange-traded funds.
We are able to help companies raise money. Now, these companies must have a minimum capital of 500 million and at least 3 years of accounting and financial reporting books. What we do is that we help these businesses raise capital, but under the theme of women empowerment, we are going to pursue women-led businesses to ensure that they can access capital through the stock market, but also promote investments and savings for women.
Amidst challenges such as unmatched potential ensure fundamentals on capital needs and future prospects, latest provisions for small and medium enterprises on the exchange are still unconvincing to some players. For instance, the minimum capital requirement for 500 million shillings.
The investors who provide capital have a minimum size of capital they are able to invest. Some start from as low as $1 million, others stretch to as high as a minimum of $10 million. So 500 million looks at a minimum of some small companies, but that are growing, growth companies that have potential to expand as an opportunity, because we wouldn't want to promote the small companies and not be able to raise for them capital.
As I mentioned, from UN Women, we have our strategic note, which is from 2022 to 2025. And through that strategic note, we have quite a number of activities which we do with women. For instance, on agriculture, we help women on engaging in climate smart agriculture, or now we call climate resilience agriculture. So women can empower economically, women can be empowered.
Sector players in the telecommunications industry have still underlined financial inclusion as key in promoting gender equality for individuals and businesses to access affordable financial products and services that suit their needs.
We are also at the forefront of promoting financial inclusion through our mobile money platform, which has enabled millions of Ugandans, including women, to access financial services and improve their livelihoods. With over 11 million mobile money subscribers and over 165,000 agents, a significant of these are either owned or operated by women, which has enabled them to be able to access financial services, improve their livelihoods, and participate in the growth of the economy.
In line with the investment drive, recently the Deputy Speaker, Honorable Thomas Taebwa, interested Ugandans to invest in the stock markets as a growth strategy with reliable access to capital acquisition through equity and debt instruments. Nona Habwe, Smart 24 TV Business.
And now let's look at aviation expenses. The local aviation operators have expressed anxiety and discussed with licensing recommendations as poor airfields and costly service fees strain operations. The Uganda Civil Aviation Authority has in turn promised to address their outcry in due course. Pedison Mobere reports.
It also comes to the fares, to the rates, to what you're charging us as operators. If there could be subsidies, I'll speak strongly for the local investors, that would really boost us. It would give us strength.
While responding to their concerns, the chairman of the Uganda Civil Aviation Authority Board, Justice Stephen Kavuma, promised to respond to their issues as soon as possible. Justice Kavuma was presiding over a public hearing session in Kampala where 8 local operators defended their proposals that would enable them to attain licenses to operate.
Interesting, and which has impressed us, is the fact that all these challenges you have brought about are not brought in a negative way. They are intended to improve this highly competitive, industry called civil aviation.
According to Uganda Civil Aviation Authority Director General Fred Bamwesje, licenses are charged to enable the smooth running of the aviation authority, adding that they are generally competitive and quite low compared to other airline companies in different parts of the world.
In most of the charges in Entebbe International Airport and aviation in Uganda generally are competing. In fact, in some cases, they are so low that they need revision.
The 8 local operators included taxi operators seeking renewal were Aerolink, Asante Aviation, Bar Aviation, Uganda Aviation Academy, among others. Stephen Kavuma therefore says that they will make sure that all aerodromes are brought to acceptable standards.
Those areas was the poor state of the aerodromes, and I want to assure you and all the stakeholders in this industry that the board is going to do everything possible to make sure that all the players concerned do their bit in order to make sure that these aerodromes are brought to an acceptable standard.
The Uganda Civil Aviation Authority tasked the Uganda air transport sector players to boost domestic flights, but also encourage Ugandans in using air transport. Reports indicate that there is a lawful usage of facilities, which leads to financial constraints.
We are operating 13 up-country airports, but all of them cannot maintain themselves because of the low usage of the facilities. Some of the airports actually can spend a week without anybody landing there. Now, how would we maintain such a facility?
The Air Services Licensing Committee convenes every year to hear the defense from air transport participants. This year, 3 new applicants will increase the total participants. Pedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
And now let's head to Algeria, where President Museveni and the Algerian President Tauban are deliberate on growth, rotating around the economic growth and how best it can be done. Well, President Museveni went to Algeria, that was on Saturday, for a 3-day visit. That was a 3-day state visit to Algeria, and he did express the need to fast-track economic integration in order to facilitate prosperity in Africa. Now, he noted that modern prosperity is best on trade, as benchmarked in the Lagos Plan of Action, where economic integration was spearheaded. Now, President Museveni believes this should be followed by infrastructural development and commended Algeria for having moved ahead on that front by building communication linkages through the Sahara to West Africa. Now, Algerian President His Excellency Abdelmajid Tebboune promised continued good working relations between the two countries as agreements saw the Ugandan National Oil Company, that is UNOC, and Algeria's Sonatrach brought into a workable agreement. Tourism, trade, education and scientific research and energy were also addressed. And pretty much the other discussion was rotating around Algeria providing milk market for Uganda's powdered milk. Just a few days after Kenya apparently put a ban again on Uganda's milk. So that means Algeria does provide room for that. And of course, because Algeria is also a country that benefits on oil and gas, Uganda still has lots of opportunities to learn and lots of benchmarkings to do. Of course, this particular visit is one that Ugandans should be very proud of because it does speak deeply to the Ugandan traders and investors with the 3-day visit, which is slated to come to an end as of the 14th day of March 2023. President Museveni in Algeria in there and trying to build on trade discussions, tourism, the oil and gas sector, and obviously some of the other issues addressed included education and of course an agreement between Uganda's national oil company UNOC and Algeria's Sonatrach had an agreement which was signed in there. And now, away from that, we now turn our eyes to the local government debts, as the Committee on Local Government has questioned officials from Bushenyi municipality on non-compliance to public service and local government policies. Over 17 officials are recorded to have spent a year and 4 months off the payroll and without payment either. We have more in this report.
Bushenyi Municipality and Ishaka Division leaders have today interfaced with the Parliamentary Committee on Local Government to explain the irregularities identified in the Auditor General's report for the financial year ended June 2022, largely addressing salary management and performance of teachers in the Municipal Council. The town clerk, Severio Mukobi Biarufu, has been faulted for failure to enroll over 17 officials into the payroll in more than a year, as opposed to the law which provides for just 1 month.
Admitted that 1 month period is given. Yes. You went contrary to that. Yes. You went up to 16 months for some staff from 1 month. What do you expect us to do as a committee? Chair, I will request that the committee listens to me.
In response, Mr. Severio Mukobi first denied the details in the Auditor General's report, citing inaccuracy, but later faulted the new payment system introduced by the Ministry of Public Service in early last year, something the committee refused to accept.
This was a case where we did our part, we put these people on the payroll, but the system would not automatically pick the supplier numbers for the whole process to be concluded. Okay. Yes, Honorable Philip.
Chair, thank you very much. I really wanted the town clerk to get us clearly the statements he has been making, because he says what the auditor said here is wrong. He did not pick well.
Municipal officials were put to task to explain why there was overpayment of 30 million shillings to 12 pensioners and underpayment of 59 million shillings to 5 pensioners, but still did not get a satisfactory answer.
It was established that you wrongly computed gratuity benefits of 7 pensioners, resulting into an overstatement. Okay? There was also overpayment of 30 million. You overpaid 30 million to 12 pensioners. And you also underpaid 59 million to 5 pensioners.
It's at this point that the committee ordered the town clerk to present the necessary documents pertaining all the queries or pay the 59 million shillings in question.
With that, Mr. Town Clerk, we will give you 1 week. 1 week from today, to avail us a detailed breakdown, give us the payment voucher. And if you don't do it within 1 week, we will recommend to Parliament that you make good the losses. You will have to pay 59 million from your pocket.
The interrogated personnel payment system is currently under implementation, part of the public service reforms among ministries, departments, agencies, and local governments to facilitate timeless accuracy and accountability of government salary and pension payments. Samlanifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Moving on, according to the National Climate Change Policy 2015, Uganda needs $2.5 billion annually before 2030 to mitigate the climate change effects, with the annual cost of inflation, which is estimated between $3.2 to $5 billion. As the resilient project sets in, hope to offset the above remains probable. Now, Martha Nimsima brings to you a detail towards climate change.
The impact of climate change has had a multidimensional footprint on productivity across major sectors. In agriculture, which is one of the major contributors to green gases, climate-smart practices, a resilience move has been devised among farmers to achieve sustainable practice and production. This has, however, emerged with great funding need.
Water and the environment, therefore, significantly contribute to the national socio-economic development. However, these resources are under increasing pressure from many factors, among which is climate change. We therefore need to ensure that these resources are sustainably managed and developed if our development is to be climate resilient. I do hope that all these issues will form the basis of the discussions during this whole week.
Limited financing, a great setback to the charge for environmental conservation, has attracted public-private partnerships to more than necessary cash flow to implement numerous projects and green investments aided by supportive policies.
Africa, with very good sceneries, there is an ever-increasing threat to its natural resources base, especially forests and wetlands. And indeed, other speakers before me have already alluded to this. I have been told that the forest cover has declined from 24% of Uganda's total land area in 1990 to 12.4% currently. This is majorly attributed to biomass fuel, cooking, combustion with other auxiliary drivers such as expansion of agricultural land, sporadic urbanization, and income poverty.
Austria and Germany support water and sanitation, integrated water management, natural resource management, and climate change support mitigation with a portfolio of 81 million euros, out of which 33 million are grant funding. Our projects are implementing through our esteemed partners that we value, such as governmental institutions, including the Ministry of Water and Environment, NGOs, UN agencies, academic partners, and we do so in all corners of these very beautiful countries. So I have to say that we put a special focus
as government invests financing means, for instance, through the Climate Finance Unit in the Finance Ministry, supported by the National Climate Change Policy, climate resilient projects in agriculture, energy and human activities, with the private sector, are bold sets expected to deliver intended goals. Martha Nimsima, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now as the Kampala flyover project takes center stage, the much anticipated project has hit 80% of the completion. The 300 billion shillings Japan-funded project is expected to be complete by the end of this year and will be crucial in reducing city traffic congestion amidst a transport network facelift. Sabo Kirimunda reports.
The construction of the flyover will minimize traffic congestion on Entebbe Road, which is the second highest traffic jam in the country. Movement in the city has been hampered by heavy traffic, which has affected city dwellers and workers to reach their destinations in time. It would require 2 hours for one to negotiate a 30-kilometer journey to the city center, especially in the morning hours. Once the entire $200 million project is accomplished, the flyover is expected to connect outwards to the proposed Kampala, Jinja and Kampala-Mpigi expressways.
Just like you as an individual, when you have a pressing, urgent need, what do you resort to? You resort to a bit of borrowing, but you actually pay back. So we resort to our financing partners like JICA, the World Bank, ADB, Islamic Development Bank, and several others for financing to be able to meet our current and pressing needs. But ultimately, this is actually money we have to pay back, but it has actually supported us meet our current need. And you're much better than before, because now you have a road, which is a high capacity road, which is actually going to improve flow of traffic, improve on business rankings of the country, meaning actually the incomes will also rise of the Ugandans and their businesses, and you'll then be able to pay back. So that is the feasibility done around our projects, that when you introduce a road in an area, that area should grow. There should be growth in business, there should be growth in traffic, and ultimately growth in incomes.
According to Mr. Alan Sempebwa, Uganda National Roads Authority Media Relations Manager, the second phase is likely to cost 659 billion Ugandan shillings.
At the moment, we are at over 80% progress in physical works. We know that before the end of this year, that project should be ready for Kampala to now use, or people in Kampala to use, and elsewhere. The road costs about 300 billion, that is Ugandan shillings, and we are supported by our Japanese friends, that is the Japanese International Cooperation Agency, JICA, and we have a very competent contractor, a Japanese as well, employing several other local contractors on site, if you've actually been there, and Ugandans have been employed on this project. So the project has come with numerous benefits, of course employment. It's going to change the skyline of Kampala, as you may actually have seen it. It's going to be a very fast flyover project that we have in the country of that nature and design, but it's also going to improve our trade competitiveness as a country. So we're looking at the project as an incentive, as an attraction to investors to come and actually invest in our country, tourists to actually come in, knowing that they will move on time, and just as investors alike.
The project will minimize the time spent while traveling and also decongest the city center. Senior Principal Public Relations Officer, Ministry of Lands and Urban Development, Dennis Obo, advised all other cities to have all the local land registered so that they are able to generate local revenue from the land sales. He also revealed that other cities shall undergo the same deployments to ensure that cities have the same standard of the road infrastructure.
The developments that are taking place in Kampala City and developments that government plans to implement in all other new cities. A city cannot be a city if it is not smart. So there are some things that have to be done, whether it is in Kampala or others. One, for purposes of congestion and avoiding jam, it is important that you also have to build flyovers and bypasses. But that is not the only thing that makes it. The other thing is we would like to see the street lighting in them so that we can automatically have the night economy working. The tarmac roads are important because a city with dust is not a good one. The issue of titling in cities is important because through titling and registration of land, then cities are able to generate or get local revenue from the land transactions. All these activities or tasks that are done to ensure that you have sustainable and smart cities.
UNRA's Media Relations Manager, Mr. Alan Sempebwa, revealed that a Grand Master Plan to develop all roads in other towns and cities is in the offing.
At the moment, we are working on an expressway development master plan that will cater for all other cities and towns within Uganda. We're working on implementation of the Kampala-Jinja Expressway. We are also working on the designs for Kampala-Bombo Expressway, Kampala-Busunju Expressway, and several others will come in that sequence. And ultimately, the entire country will be covered. So there is a development of the of the National Expressway Development Master Plan being mooted at the moment.
It should also be noted that all these infrastructure developments have been funded by the Japanese government loan, whose funds have to be refunded. The Uganda National Roads Authority is able to collect 1 billion shillings per month on road tolls to service the loan. Andrew Barije, Samuel Chirimunda, Smart 24, Business Today.
And well, of course, Business Today does take a break. When we return, we have more coming up, including our coffee cup discussion. Stick around.